Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth here. I just want to make a quick comment on the sequestration. There's been a lot of talk of flying back and forth between the so-called right and the so-called left, between the Republicans and most notably President Obama. And of course, no one is to blame any more than all of them together, because the sequestration is part of a package that is going to cut everything eventually. Now you'll notice very specifically here that in this particular round of cuts, Medicare and Social Security are not included in this, and rightfully so, especially when it comes to Social Security. You should never, ever fucking forget that Social Security is a non-budgetary item. It has absolutely nothing to do with the debt. It has nothing to do with the deficit. It has absolutely no business being involved in any of these discussions whatsoever. Okay, that's number one. So anytime anybody ever talks about Social Security and has any connection to debt, deficit, budgets, anything of the kind, know that they're talking bullshit, and all they want to do is fuck you. That's it. End of discussion. Medicare is a slightly more complicated matter, still has a dedicated finance stream itself. Yes, it does contribute to the deficit to some degree, but very small and minor changes can be effected to correct those problems, and also very small and minor changes could be done to Social Security to secure that for everybody far into the future, which would require very little manipulation of the system, and certainly wouldn't require raising the retirement age, using the chain CPI, all of this other fucking nonsense that they want to play. Now, as I noted, the sequestration does not involve these cuts. This is what's going to come later. Obama is going to present this once again. He's going to say we can save, once again, another several $100 billion from Medicare, which is just code word for requiring seniors to pay more for the care that they receive, require them to pay higher co-pays, and lessening the amount of care that they receive. No matter how he tries to portray this, it will result in more sickness, less care for seniors, period. End of fucking discussion. End of discussion. Now, no matter how he tries to play it as being savings, as being, gouging out costs and payments to providers and all this kind of bullshit rhetoric that he uses, make no mistake, this will result in increased sickness and death of seniors and other people who are on Medicare. Now, Social Security will be handed up as well, even though it is a completely unconnected thing. And this is something you always have to remember. Now, that will be offered up, and I think the Republicans will jump on this in an effort to save the defense industry, which is actually the war industry, which is actually the drone, bomb, and murder and kill industry of this country, because ultimately through the armaments industry in this country, which is vast, and the money that's behind that is funding a lot of the GOP candidates. Now, there's no war between the elites in this country. The elites run everything. They run the war industry, they run the murder industry, they run Wall Street, they run the banks, they run the corporations. And it is the elite that decide what happens in this country. And because Pete Peterson, who is a multi-billionaire, runs this Fix the Debt Commission, which is totally bipartisan, if you go and look at who is involved in it, you can see that there are prominent so-called Democrats involved in that process as well. Because the austerity is coming, and the sequestration is just the first part of it. But you will see, because some programs will be hit, some things will happen, and because we're going to have a looming shutdown of the government if something isn't done to raise the debt ceiling and all this other business that we dealt with 2 years ago, we're going to be dealing with again very shortly. Now, Obama is going to offer up your grandparents and other seniors and disabled and people on Social Security and Medicare as blood sacrifices for the GOP once again, so that they can protect their personal little pockets of interest, and that would be the death, murder, and killing industry. So the sequestration is designed, I believe, as a way to force the hand of people who are reluctant to put their foot in. Because as much as the elite run politics in Washington, D.C., there are people who still act under their own ideological ideas to some extent. I don't think it would be wise to say that everybody in Congress is in lockstep on every particular policy idea. Otherwise, all of these things would move forward rather quickly. Everybody has their own little fiefdom, and everybody wants to preserve their own measure of power within the construct that we have. So sometimes there are power plays that go on. And I believe that some members of the GOP are reluctant to risk losing their seats in Congress or risk the ire of people once the people realize just how badly they're going to get fucked in this whole thing. And because of that, there are some people that are refusing to cooperate on the emasculation of the social safety net in this country and the attack on Social Security and Medicare. So just remember, this is designed as a kind of wedge, a crowbar, to get those reluctant and recalcitrant members of Congress who do not want to dive in to the assault on what's left of the New Deal and the Great Society to get on board with it. And that's what I think is going to happen. So when Obama once again comes forward with the grand bargain of slicing and dicing your grandparents and other people who are on disability and Social Security and Medicare under the name of savings, which is going to result in increased disease, infirmity, and death for people who are on Medicare, because they will not be able to pay the increases in either their co-payments, their doctor visits fees, their amounts of prescription costs, all these other things that are going to be affected, because no matter what he says, having already gouged out of Medicare almost $1 trillion over 10 years, you can absolutely guarantee that this is going to affect care. And I don't care what anybody says. If they try to say different, I will tell them right to their face, you are a fucking shit-faced liar. Because there is no fucking way you are getting savings out of a program of $100 billion a year, and now you're going to up that even further. And that's exactly what's coming. And I think this is a crowbar to get those recalcitrant members of Congress who are trying to play some kind of game of chess where they think that they can get a better position for themselves in the coming fallout. And that's all this is. It's all about trying to preserve whatever little tiny fiefdom these people have. In the end, that's what's going to occur, because in the end, they all serve the same masters. And if those masters don't like what is coming out of there, those people will be replaced. So they know they have to play ball. It's only a matter of wiggling, and it's only a matter of trying to move around and shuffle things a little bit to try and get yourself put into a position where you're not going to be the first one to be blamed for all of this. So that is what I think is happening with sequestration. Now, I wanted to also make a comment about the recent trial of a man named Primo in the Occupy Wall Street fiasco that happened in New York. Now, this guy was put on trial for assaulting a police officer. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the police, they accused him of running like a tackle into a police officer and forcefully assaulting him, resulting in a broken leg to the officer. And the police actually got on the stand and lied. They lied in open court, which is perjury, of course. And when a video surfaced that showed that the account that the police gave of that particular altercation was completely and diametrically opposed to what the police said in their testimony, the jury came back and acquitted him of all of the charges against him. And he rightfully refused to accept the plea bargain that was offered by the district attorney, which probably was an effort on his part to avoid having to have the police perjure themselves. But now I want you to take note here and watch very closely in New York to see if any charges are brought against the police by the Attorney General's office for openly lying and perjuring themselves on the stand. Now, if nothing is done about this, as I suspect nothing will be, at worst, I think the only thing you might expect is that someone would be put on paid administrative leave for a while up there, and nothing will be done in the way of actual criminal charges brought against any of these people for perjuring themselves. But this is a true victory, and it shows the importance of recording things wherever you can. Realize that in most places it is perfectly legal to film the police in their going about their business, despite what they tell you. And I believe there have been several court cases over the last couple years that have affirmed this fact, that no matter what the police say to you, you have the right to film them. And I suggest that you do so, especially if you're engaged in activist activities. So keep that in mind, because it did come to the rescue in this case. And it goes to show you, again, the heavy-handed tactics of the police when it comes to activists, because there was very little disruption in Occupy Wall Street in New York that was not instigated by the police, or actually manufactured totally by the police, like it was in this case, when video footage showed that the police absolutely and totally lied and perjured themselves on the stand to try to convict this guy. So that's a victory, and I guess we should be happy for that and hope for some more in the future. So that's all I have for now. Thank you, and good evening.